What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Music Bowl. My name is Herd, and I am on another Moto Music ride. So, again, as a recap for anyone who maybe is just getting into the podcast at this point, I am on the motorbike, and currently I'm actually riding through a place called the Hawk's Nest that is just outside of Port Jervis, New York. We're about to be going along the Delaware River. I figured I'd try and give you guys some beautiful views. I'm trying out some new camera settings, so hopefully this is coming out in nice clear 4K for everyone. And if you are just tuning in on the audio, thanks for joining. Much appreciate the listens. Jump over maybe see the cool views when you get a chance. Yeah, I'm gonna try and get it so we can see everything here. Coming this way through this gorge is a little bit tricky with the views, but we'll see what we can do. Anyway, today what I wanted to talk about was some things I've noticed in the moto community. And look at that view of the road, by the way. Dang, it's so nice. I've noticed some things in the moto community that I think the music community could learn from. And so in order to explain that, I am going to start by talking about the moto community just a little bit, just to give you guys a background, because as far as I know, there aren't too many people in the music community who are also in the moto community that I personally know. What's up, bird? That are going to be maybe listening to this podcast. So I'm trying to think of anyone in the Karen Kabitis world of things who I know who is a motocyclist, moto rider. I'm not sure how we're saying it, but and I don't think I know anybody. Hopefully you guys can see the water down there. I can't tell. But yeah, so we're gonna have to give some background into the moto world. I promise it will make sense as it pertains to the moto community as well, so bear with me through some of this. And we will be at highway speed, so hopefully it's not too windy. Hopefully we can still kind of hear everything I'm saying. Although it doesn't look like this guy is going to be going all that fast, so maybe you're in luck. Nice little view of the river again for anyone checking out the visuals that are. Okay, so in the moto community, and you may we just saw an example of this. It is super common to wave to every rider that you go by, and so that dude who was parked back there on the crotch rocket sitting on the wall, gave him a wave. He gave me the wave back as he was smoking his cigarette. And every single rider that I go by, you will just see us put our hand down and give a wave. I don't know if the camera caught that. Let's try that again. You'll just kind of see this. You'll just see the look down in a wave. Not the look down, you'll see the hand go out in a wave, that is. And all that's saying is I acknowledge you. That's just kind of all it is. It literally is just a wave. But the reason it started, as far as I'm aware, and if anyone has a more definitive story, please let me know. The reason it started was because back in the day, which was in fact a Wednesday, there were 6 people who rode a motorcycle. There weren't that many people. And there was a lot of the hooliganism kind of stuff that was happening. And so it was just a way to acknowledge hey man, you're also in this community, this thing that I do that not very many people are doing. So we need to make sure we stick together. And I need to make sure I put my blinker on so this guy knows I'm turning. And so it became, oh, he's following me. I'm sorry, dude. You're not gonna like this. Yeah, it became just a symbol of saying okay, I see you, I acknowledge you. We're both in this very small, tight-knit community, and it doesn't matter what that person is riding in terms of motorbike. So you might, if you're watching the video, you can see again that I got the bright green jacket on. It's called high vis for high visibility. I got the full face helmet on. I'm riding an adventure bike. I got the GoPro set up. I like all the bells and whistles. Whereas, a lot of these guys that I might be going by might be riding a cruiser, and have like just the leathers on and all that kind of stuff, and we're gonna see if we can't get by this dude here. And we can. Oh, homeboy's going all the way for it. Good for you, my man. Good for you. He's been on me for a while. So anyway, it doesn't matter what you are riding, what gear you're wearing, any of that stuff. We're going to give you a wave, and we're all a part of this community. Doesn't mean that I appreciate what everyone in the community does in terms of how they ride or how aggressive and their attitudes and the whole gang thing and all that, but you're going to find that in pretty much any community. It used to be that there was a lot more of that. Now there's just much more people who like to ride and just kind of do it. And that brings me to my second point with the moto community. And this might be the larger lesson that I think the music community can pull from. And the reason that we are all in the moto community so inclined to wave to each other is because it's very much a hobbyist community. Like we all do it just because we love to ride. This is why I'm out at 4:48 on a Tuesday after work, you know, way out in the middle of the woods. It's because I love it, right? This is why I'm here. And that's the sole reason. Like, I would be doing this if I had the vlogging going or not. And like, I've done trips across this country on my motorcycle because I wanted to, right? There were people I wanted to see, and I figured, hey, might as well ride the motorcycle to go see them. And so I've been doing this for years. My dad's been riding a motorcycle since literally the late 50s. Yeah, maybe early 60s, but still, like, almost his entire life he's been riding a bike just because he loves it. There's no other secondary motive. I just got the vlogging equipment because I do this so much. I figured, man, let me just try and share a little bit of what I'm doing, right? There's no real secondary motive. There are very few people in the moto community who make their living by riding a motorcycle in the way that I do. There obviously are the Moto GP guys who race the crotch rockets. There's the motocross guys with the dirt bikes, and there are, you know, there's those more sporting types of riders. But in terms of just riding and traveling, the only people really doing that are like retired people because they have the time to do it. Everyone else is taking the 2-week trip here and there, or, you know, as a teacher, I'm lucky that I will have my summer to kind of travel and do more of that stuff. But it's very few and far between that people are just living off being a rider, and it's very similar to the people who are just like backpacking their way across the globe, right? Like, there's so few people who are actually doing that, and most of that community in terms of hiking and stuff is just the weekend hikers, and that's all well and good. More power to you. Do what you love. And I think the music community could learn a lot from that. Not that I want to say we're a hobbyist community, but I think we all put far too much pressure on ourselves to make this thing that we love make us money. And this is not an idea, this is not an original thought, by the way. This is definitely something I stole from it's books called Big Magic. It's the Eat, Pray, Love chick, whatever her name was, something Gilbert. I wish I could remember. And when I read that book and she said those things of, like, you know, how dare us demand our art provide for our lives, like, that definitely changed a lot of my thinking. But I also didn't really hit home until I started comparing this to the moto community and seeing, like, how much more interactions I get in the moto community when I post something than in the music community. And maybe that's the way I post, maybe it is what I post, I'm not really sure. But I know in the moto world, for example, I've posted only photos basically of my motorcycle, and they get a lot more engagement than some really cool crazy bass fill that I've ever played. And I think it's because in the moto community, we're all just like, woo, you ride a bike too. Like, that's all we care about. It's just a matter of staring at beautiful lakes like this. Or ponds? I don't know what we're going to call this. I don't know what I would call it, but it was beautiful nonetheless. And I find myself just like, oh, that's a cool bike. Like, you know, and I'm very stringent with my likes, and maybe I shouldn't be in the music community, but there are so many people in the music world, I think, who do things just to get the content that it's like, I'm not gonna play into this, I'm not gonna buy into your hand, I'm not gonna like make you feel good by giving you a like. Whereas in the moto community, man, maybe people are doing that stuff, but from what I have noticed so far, and we're actually gonna go, by the way, I've never taken a right here, so we're gonna see where this goes. Monticello, that's where we're headed. Let's do it. That's actually not where we're headed, but I know at least where that is. And all right, let's do it. Let's see where this road goes, everyone. Yeah, what was I saying? Anyway, sorry, distracted by directions again. It happens to me every episode. Man, totally lost it. Sorry guys, give me a second here. Yeah, it's been fewer that I've noticed people just doing stuff, and obviously people are still trying to frame their photos and their bikes like really, really well, but that's all it is. Like, there's so little anything else, and people are really good at taking photos, I will give them that, but it's really just like throw the bike up somewhere cool, take a photo of it, like, and that's been it. And the community has been very good to me so far. There's been some very, very big accounts in that world who have already been like, hey bro, I like your bike, and have actually responded and talked. And there have been very few communal people I have encountered. Ooh, sliding on the snakes. Very few people like that I've encountered in the music world. I feel like people are just much more stringent with things. Everyone's kind of out to do their thing, and a lot of it in the music world comes from that whole scarcity mindset. Something that I need to go straight 15 miles to Monticello. There we go. It's something that Karen Kabidis mentions a lot. The scarcity mindset. This idea that there's only a couple of jobs and we're all trying to fight for them, and it's just absolutely not true. Like, an easy comparison for me, one thing that really stuck in my mind recently, a thought that I had, was I have never seen anybody in the real world with a moto vlogging setup, with like the cool mount and the chin mounted GoPro. Obviously they exist, I've seen them on YouTube, and that's how I like learned to kind of do this, but I've never seen anybody in the real world with it, which tells me that this is a very rare thing that I'm doing. And I want you to think about, in your own little music world, who like you has exactly the same credentials and qualifications and backstory, right? Who's got the exact same set of influences as you do? Nobody. So you're gonna find your niche somewhere. And yes, there are very few orchestra jobs that some people are really fighting for, and good for you, do the audition thing, all of that. But there also may be a niche somewhere. Niche, how do I say it? Whatever, you know what I mean. There's a place for you somewhere. You just kind of have to weed through it and find it. And that was a cool realization that I had, that for as much as there are things, ooh, that is a nice little cabin. We are deep in the woods, by the way. Wow. For as much as there are musical things I want to do, I maybe should just do my thing and see what comes back at me. And I think rather than trying to say I need to be careful how I phrase this. I was going to say, rather than say I'm going to do this and like force it, but there also obviously is something to, I'm going to make this particular goal happen and strive for that and have something to aim for. But I think along the way you have to allow room for, this is also what I'm good at. Like I might want to be an orchestral bass player. It's not going to happen. Like it's just not going to happen. I'm not nearly at the level that I need to be. And for as much work as I would ever put in, it's not going to happen. Maybe just because mentally I don't think it is, but those of you who know my ability with a bow, you know that's not a realistic goal for me. And so I think I need to go towards Forestburg. I've never been here, so I think we're just going to keep following the main road. There is something to having that goal and that thing to strive towards, but have it in your mind that as long as you're doing music, it's not really going to matter what facet you're doing it in. And so you have to find the place where all of your particular credentials, where your backstory is going to be the most well received, and be okay with that. And for right now, and this is something that I struggled, this is just me using you guys as my therapist, but I really struggled becoming an educator, like just teaching high school, because I didn't want to be just a teacher. I wanted to be very active in the music industry, which is why I fought so hard to keep the podcast going and to be in bands and still perform. And also, yes, I genuinely do love those things, but I have found massive joy, especially this past year, honestly, in being a teacher. And realistically, I feel like I actually liked what I got to do during the online remote pandemic. It was not easy. Dang, those woods are deep. Woo. It wasn't easy being a teacher in the pandemic, but I got a lot of joy out of being able to still share music with students and to give them some sense of release from everything else going on. All of that to say that the reason we're all musicians is because we love music. We love what we do. And I think we all need to remember that more. Right? This idea that we have to make it, music has to be our only means of income, like, that's a great goal. That is a very honorable thing, and that is something that I still will fight my hardest to make happen. But in the moments that it's not, that's okay. And if you just love to play and the grind of trying to make it your living is like just destroying you, maybe take a step back and reconnect with music in the way that you love. And maybe that means it's not going to be a full-time professional thing for you, but if that brings you more joy, then that's what you got to do, right? Like, you have to do that thing, and not in some hedonistic way, like, you know, in an actual practical manner of like, you know, I love this thing and I want it to be, you know, my pride and joy. And so, and that's just a cool thing that I've noticed in comparing the moto and music communities, is everybody who rides a bike just loves it. And I know musicians, this is a sharper turn than I was expecting. I know musicians love what they do, but damn, we so rarely show it. You know, we are all so hard on the grind that it feels like we're all, ooh, wow, dang, did not expect this from Forestburg. We're all so hard on the grind that it almost feels like music is killing us at times, and it definitely felt that way for me. And so, damn, woo! Y'all, if you're not checking the video, you got to jump off the podcast and go onto YouTube, because this is why we ride. This is why I do it, to see this kind of stuff. Man, this is beautiful. And so we need to, back to the point of the podcast, we need to, as musicians, do a better job of this as well, of just loving our craft, saying hi to all the musicians we meet, and giving everyone a bigger, hey, what's up, googly eyes, giving everyone a bigger benefit of the doubt. And maybe that's just me, maybe I'm just the one who does a terrible job with that, but I do feel like at times we're all very guarded with everything we do in the music world, because we're all just trying to make it instead of the other person making it. And we need to be celebrating each other a lot more, and we need to be inspiring each other more, and we need to be much more communal than what we all have been. And again, maybe I'm just talking to myself, because I, over the years, have definitely not been a good example of those things, but I feel like a lot of us have been that way. Right? And so yeah, that's gonna be, I'm gonna leave you with that one for today, of just be kind, work hard. no, that's all true, but I won't be so cliche as to say that. What I will say is this: we all love what we do, and we all need to get back to just loving this thing we call music. And if it provides for us, awesome. And if it doesn't, it doesn't mean we don't love it. It doesn't mean it doesn't love us. It just means it's not the time. You know, keep on the grind, keep doing your thing, but just love it. That's all. Take some encouragement from the moto guys, right? We do it just because we can, just because we want to. And if we apply that, and we all just do our thing, and if we do our thing really well, it will draw people to what we are doing, and that's where you're going to find your success. Do your thing, whatever that is, really well. So, perfect example. Way to end it with a dude riding right by me. With that, guys, I will leave it. I will let the video roll another minute or two here, let you just kind of see some cool views here in Forestburg. But thanks for listening. If you're on the podcast, I highly recommend, especially that one, beautiful lake views and stuff. Definitely try and jump over and catch this this YouTube video. With that, guys, thanks for listening, thanks for watching. I would love to hear some responses on this one. Am I just a rambling idiot, or is there a little bit of truth as to what's going on and what I'm saying? So we'd love to hear from you guys. Again, thanks, and we'll catch you next time. Oh, I know where this is. This is 42. That's 48. We're gonna keep riding on 48 then. Tried to get you a view of that lake. Alright, as I venture into the woods, into unknown territory, I will leave it there for you guys.